Everyone thinks Jeff Bezos built Amazon by selling books online. That's the clean version, the comforting version, the version that makes success feel repeatable. But the real strategy behind Bezos' $100 billion company was much stranger and much more uncomfortable than people like to admit. Because for most of Amazon's life, Amazon wasn't really trying to make money, not in the way you think. And that decision confused investors, terrified competitors, and quietly rewired how modern capitalism works. This matters right now because the strategy Bezos used didn't stay inside Amazon. It spread across tech, across markets, across the global economy. And whether you realize it or not, you're living inside its consequences. Let's rewind. In 1997, Amazon went public. It was losing money. A lot of money. Wall Street hated that. Quarter after quarter, analysts asked the same question: when will Amazon become profitable? Bezos' answer never changed. Later. Not next quarter, not next year, later. Most CEOs would have been fired for that response. Bezos doubled down. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people miss. Amazon wasn't built to maximize profit, it was built to maximize control over the system. Bezos understood something early that most executives didn't. In the internet age, scale beats profit, speed beats efficiency, and cash flow beats earnings. So instead of squeezing margins, Amazon did the opposite. It crushed them. Free shipping, lower prices, relentless reinvestment. Every dollar Amazon made was immediately fed back into the machine: warehouses, logistics, software, infrastructure. To Wall Street, it looked reckless. To competitors, it looked suicidal. To Bezos, it was a land grab. Because the real game wasn't selling books, it was becoming unavoidable. By the early 2000s, Amazon wasn't profitable, but it was everywhere. Customers were trained to start their shopping search on Amazon. Third-party sellers were dependent on Amazon's platform. Publishers, brands, and manufacturers were slowly boxed in. Amazon didn't need high margins, it needed gravity. And gravity is powerful. The bigger Amazon got, the cheaper it could operate. The cheaper it operated, the more customers it attracted. The more customers it attracted, the more sellers were forced to join. A loop, a very dangerous loop. This is where the math gets uncomfortable. Traditional companies aim for margins first. They protect profits, then grow carefully. Amazon inverted that logic. Lose money now, control demand later, extract value at scale. For years, Amazon's profits were laughable compared to its size. In 2015, after 2 decades, Amazon's net profit margin was under 1%. Critics laughed. Then they stopped laughing. Because while profits were thin, cash flow was massive. Amazon gets paid immediately by customers. It pays suppliers later. That time gap, called the cash conversion cycle, became Amazon's hidden weapon. At one point, Amazon's cash conversion cycle was negative, which means Amazon was effectively being financed by its suppliers and customers. It was growing with other people's money. That's not retail genius. That's financial engineering at planetary scale. But Bezos wasn't done. The most important decision Amazon ever made didn't happen in retail at all. It happened quietly, almost accidentally. Amazon built internal infrastructure to run its own website, servers, databases, cloud storage. Then, someone inside the company asked a dangerous question. What if we sold this to other companies? In 2006, Amazon Web Services was born. At the time, it made no sense. Why would a retailer sell computing power? But this was classic Bezos. AWS wasn't about retail, it was about leverage. AWS turned Amazon from a company that used infrastructure into a company that owned it. Netflix runs on AWS. Startups run on AWS. Governments run on AWS. Amazon wasn't just selling products anymore, it was selling the plumbing of the internet. And here's the irony. For years, AWS quietly subsidized Amazon's losses. The cloud business made real money, while retail stayed thin. So the company everyone thought was bad at profits was actually very good at them, just not where people were looking. This is where the hype and reality diverge. People love to talk about Bezos's vision, customer obsession, long-term thinking. Those are real, but incomplete. The real strategy was patience, weaponized with scale. Amazon didn't win by being smarter, it won by being willing to suffer longer. Losses that would have killed smaller companies became a moat. Competitors couldn't match Amazon's prices without bleeding out. Investors couldn't force Amazon to change without tanking the stock. Governments struggled to regulate something that moved faster than policy. Bezos turned time itself into a competitive advantage. And this strategy didn't stop at Amazon, it became the blueprint. Uber, Netflix, Tesla, Spotify. Burn cash, dominate the market, figure out profits later. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the world Bezos helped create is one where scale is rewarded more than sustainability. And that comes with risks. When companies prioritize domination over profit, markets become fragile. Prices stop reflecting reality. Small competitors disappear. Workers absorb the pressure. Amazon made things cheaper. It also made them more concentrated. More power, fewer hands. Even Bezos eventually stepped back, leaving a company so large it now struggles with its own gravity. The irony is sharp. The same strategy that built Amazon into a $100 billion empire may be the one that limits its future. Because infinite growth doesn't exist. Negative margins can't last forever. And systems built on constant expansion eventually hit friction. So here's the real question. Was Jeff Bezos a visionary who outsmarted capitalism? Or did he simply expose a flaw in the system? One that rewards size over health, dominance over balance. And if the next Bezos is already using the same playbook, what does that mean for the rest of us when there's nowhere left to scale?